Let's explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold. I think we got a lot to go through today, so we're going to get right into it with our sponsors and start talking about what's going on. First up, we got Save Pulse. Today's show is sponsored by Save Pulse, formerly known as EasyRx. At Save Pulse, we're committed to keeping you and your family with top quality medications like amoxicillin, azithromycin, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and more. Our ordering process is streamlined for your convenience, and we pride ourselves on offering unbeatable prices. Now's the time to prepare for any health scenario. Head over to badlandsmedia.meds to stock up on essential antibiotics and viral care medications. Ensure you're ready for anything by visiting badlandsmedia.tv/meds. And don't forget to use the promo code BADLANDS at checkout to get a 10% discount on orders over $150. That's badlandsmedia.tv/meds, promo code BADLANDS. And then we also got our good friends over at Goldco. Last 4 years have put so much stress on American family finances. Help end the stress now and celebrate the golden age with President Trump by diversifying with gold and silver. Remember, President Trump's first term, gold increased by 55%. So don't wait. Diversify your hard-earned assets and buy your gold from Goldco now with no purchase minimums. Goldco is established as a top-rated precious metals company and a leader in the gold industry, providing white glove treatment for over 10 years. Their buyback guarantee assures you that if your situation changes, they will repurchase your metals at the best price, providing you with peace of mind. And you may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver. Visit badlandsgold.com to claim your free information and instantsilver.com/badlands to see how much free silver you can get. Find out the relationship between gold, silver, Trump, and you with the free report focused on Trump and your financial future. That's badlandsgold.com and instantsilver.com/badlands to take control of your financial destiny. All right, guys, there is quite a bit I want to go through. Trump, I mean, not just the new stuff from yesterday, but Trump was giving remarks this morning. Some of those are pretty interesting. And then the EOs from yesterday, I do want to go through those a little bit more in detail. There's a lot of misinformation floating around with some of these things. So, but before we do any of that, did you guys see yesterday? I think at the end of the show, I may have even mentioned it. At the beginning of the show, I was like, hey guys, on the presidential website, you guys are messing up the fact sheets, right? The fact sheets are in the presidential actions. They shouldn't be there. By the end of the show, they were already taking those off and they were completely gone within an hour after the show. So could be coincidence, totally. Could be that somebody's listening. If somebody from the White House does happen to be listening, I do want to read through this post here because this is another thing I'm taking issue with. This is what I posted last night. What does a guy got to do to get a White House press pass without having to associate in any way with the WHCA? That's the White House Correspondents Association. Trump should take access away from the traditional propaganda outlets and give access to the decentralized media that was deplatformed for supporting him these last 5 years. And I'm serious about that. We've been exploring how we can get access to the White House. Press pass, whatever. We want Ash up there. I know Ghost is in the area too, but it's like insane the process you have to go through. You have to pay money. You have to be credentialed. Like I was actually in the process of filling out the application to join the WHCA, and they're asking me like, which outlet do you work for? All these things, and they ask for proof of current press credentials. And to get press credentials, you have to like join an association and all these things. And it's a racket. Like these people that have been in the mainstream news, right? The ones that get access to the press. These are the people that have been pretty much exclusively lying about Trump nonstop, propagandizing the American citizens nonstop. Yet they're the ones that control who gets access. At least that's as far as my understanding goes. And I just think it needs to be changed. I refuse to get credentialed by any of these people. I'm not going to legitimize their organizations by giving them money to have them give me a pass saying that we're part of some legitimate press organization. I don't even know what considers a press to be legitimized. I mean, that's the whole thing is stupid. So if you're watching, you guys need to figure out a way to let some of these smaller, conspiracy theory outlets like Badlands Media, who were deplatformed, demonetized for supporting Trump the entirety of these last 5 years. You need to get us access and get rid of these other people who all they do is have an agenda and try to lie about you guys. I guarantee you we will ask much better questions and be much more thoughtful than anybody else in there. So that's my gripe today with what's going on. But okay, let's get into some news. I'm probably gonna do a little segment every day where I go over the border. This is all I'm going to share with today. I do know that the Marines got sent down there now. They're helping to secure the border. But an enforcement update as of yesterday, they're doing ICE raids. They're getting people out of there, but they've made 538 arrests and 373 detainers lodged. So progress. And I think these numbers are only going to keep going up, and we'll keep track of it. And again, I think within 6 months, maybe that's a little aggressive, but I think within 6 months, maybe we'll see the entire border secure, full operational security of the border, as Trump said in his order. I thought this was interesting and notable. This is on the heels of Trump's speech yesterday to the WEF. He was talking to them about all sorts of things, and we're going to play a couple clips having to do with this. But he mentioned at one point the denuclearization of basically the world, but he had to deal with Putin and all these things. And Trump has repeatedly said since he left office that if the election would never have been stolen, that Putin would not have gone into Ukraine. Now, we can get into the conspiracy theory stuff about how it was all meant to be this way, but this is what Putin said. He agreed with Trump.
If he had been the president, if the victory wasn't stolen from him in 2020, maybe the Ukrainian crisis that arose in 2022 would have never appeared. If he
agreed with him, if the election hadn't been stolen. And I think we already knew that they believed the election was stolen. I mean, it was pretty obvious nobody took Biden seriously. A lot of these world leaders were communicating with Trump directly over the last few years. I think there was even a post I've seen in the past of a Russian textbook that said the election was stolen from Trump. But anytime any of these world leaders, including Trump or anybody, acknowledge that the 2020 election was stolen, I think that's notable, and I'm going to talk about it. And this is just another good example of that. All right, let's CNN yesterday put out this article. Actually, they put it out today, I believe, talking about what Trump said at the WEF yesterday. And I'm going to read through a couple things of this, and I'm going to play a couple clips too. In his first 3 days, Trump disrupted America. Then he turned to the world. And talking about everything he was saying there, all giant screen. He issued his most explicit threat yet to tariff European exports, issued an all but unreachable target for countries, NATO defense spending, again tried to goad Russian President Vladimir Putin into talks to end the Ukraine war, and pressed home his carrot and stick approach to Chinese leader Xi Jinping. And then this headline I thought was interesting too, how Trump plans to dismantle the U.S.-led global order. In its new golden age, Trump argued the United States will pursue its singular national interest exclusively, several times referring to his country as a sovereign nation. And they put sovereign in quotes. This is a MAGA code for the U.S. acting alone and not through the international Bretton Woods organizations Washington set up to make the world safe for democracy and to promote prosperity for all after World War II. Hilarious. This approach is justified, Trump insisted, because many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. From now on, he made clear, every U.S. foreign policy act will come with a value calculation gauging how it benefits Americans. Other countries and multinationals don't have to play ball, but if they choose not to, they will be punished, including with tariffs. They're saying this like it's a bad thing. The mainstream media is saying that like it's a bad thing. And they're covering the United States president. Like, at what point did it change where a United States president wasn't supposed to put the needs of Americans first? That's what's been warped over these last few years. The empathy. We need to have empathy for all these other countries. No, we really don't. And Trump is changing this. putting America first, and we already saw it in these executive orders these first 3 days. You put America first, you can build stuff at home, everything that we need can be done and found here in America. Let the other countries worry about themselves. Let's fix our problems here first, and then we can look outward if we want to have some empathy after we get things righted here at home. But this got brought up this morning. He went to North Carolina, and he took some questions from the press, and one of the questions was about Canada, and I thought what he said here was pretty brilliant. I mean, a lot of what he said here was pretty brilliant, but we're going to go through a few of these clips.
There's an even trade between the U.S. and the UK, so they shouldn't have tariffs. Does trade imbalances or a balanced trade affect tariffs and your decisions?
Yeah, unbalance and balance, and also deficits. Like with Canada, we lose $200 billion a year with Canada. That's because we allow them to make cars. We allow them to take lumber. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their food products because we make the same products right on the other side of the border. It's sort of crazy. So we've just allowed that, bad management has allowed it over the last 4 years in particular to become very imbalanced. And I call him Governor Trudeau, but he's Prime Minister Trudeau when he was Prime Minister. I asked him, why would we do that? Why? And he was unable to give me an answer. He said, I don't know. And I said, do you think it's fair that we're paying $200 billion to keep Canada going? And what would happen? I asked him, what would happen if we didn't do that, if we didn't subsidize Canada? He said, we'd be a failed nation. And I said, then you should be a state. Because why are we paying all of that money to Canada when, we could use it ourselves, right? So
I wonder how many countries out there, if we didn't subsidize them, not just Canada, but like multiple countries, most of the countries, if we didn't subsidize them, would they become a failed state? How many of these other countries rely on the United States and us just printing money and sending it to them, or us exporting our manufacturing and products and all these things? I bet it's a majority of the countries outside of the BRICS nations. And that is the problem. I mean, this is all common sense, which is what I love. It's all common sense. The left and the mainstream media and the globalists, they're going to demonize it, of course. But this makes absolute sense. And there's no reason we shouldn't have been doing this the entire time. And that's what's going to be the lesson throughout this entire Trump presidency. He's going to set things up. It's all going to be common sense stuff. And everybody's going to be like, why have we not been doing this since day one? When did we break away from doing this? Makes no sense. But I thought that was great. I'm going to see if there's anything else here that he says that's good.
We take care of their military. We're going to order about 40 Coast Guard big icebreakers, big ones. And all of a sudden, Canada wants a piece of the deal. They say, why are we doing that? I mean, I like doing that if they're a state, but I don't like doing that if they're a nation. Also, they've been very nasty to us on trade. Historically, Canada has been very, very bad to us, very unfair to us on trade. So we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my point. I mean, we need to stop subsidizing these other countries. And that's exactly what Trump's doing. This was hilarious, what he said about Adam Schiff, because he's going to California next after North Carolina. And he heard that Schiff was coming with him. And this was his response.
It was reported you invited Senator Schiff to join you on this trip, and he was too busy. Are you disappointed?
I don't know. I was told that Schiff was going to travel with us to California. I wasn't thrilled, to be honest with you. And I saw him last night on television. It looks like he got hit with a baseball bat or something. What happened to him? Something happened to him. It looked like he got hit. It looked like he got beat around. But I'll ask Caroline to find out what happened to him. No, if he wanted to come out, I would have done that. But I don't know. Somebody said that he wanted to come on the plane, but I think he's staying back for the votes.
That's hilarious. Not only saying he wasn't thrilled that he heard Adam Schiff was coming with him, but then calling him out on his looks. I love when Trump comments on people's looks. I don't know why. It's so funny. If you ever get bored, go back and watch his 2016 presidential debates with like the other Republicans, the RNC stuff. It's so funny. I did so last night, looking for for some Rubio stuff when Rubio said he had small hands and they had this huge back and forth. I mean, it was great. Another one here, he's talking about FEMA, and I think this is interesting because he says it. He basically says he wants to get rid of FEMA and that the disaster stuff, the relief stuff, should be done with the states. And I agree with it. I'm curious how the funding mechanism for that would work, but take a listen to what he says in this one.
They cost a tremendous amount of money. It's very bureaucratic, and it's very slow. Other than that, we're very happy with them. Okay, and I think when there's a problem with the state, I think that problem should be taken care of by the state. That's what we have states for. They take care of problems. And a governor can handle something very quickly. You know, one of the things I've noticed, because I've been doing this for a while, and we had a pretty good FEMA, but I also noticed that when they come, they end up in arguments, they're fighting all the time over who does what. It's just not a good system. This system is so beautifully designed over 250 years approximately, you know, and we'll soon be celebrating the 250th year. It's going to be a very big celebration, but it's been designed.
That's brilliant, and this is the way it really should be. Our government has gotten so bloated. Again, it's one of those things that it's been a slow creep, but it's gotten so out of hand. And here he's hinting at kind of what his ultimate vision is to let's get back to what the founders intended, where the government is not bloated and not involved in everything. And it's kind of up to the states to take care of themselves and dictate some of these things. That's the way it was designed. And so throughout this DOGE process where they're, the government efficiency and getting rid of agencies, we may be surprised at some of the bigger agencies that actually get disbanded. Because do we really need FEMA when you really think about it? Like, what good does FEMA actually do? We just had two great examples of it, especially one great example of it with North Carolina, where he's at right there. Totally botched it. And you can find more examples of that. FEMA is unnecessary. Trump makes a great point, and I haven't heard many people, discuss that. So, in terms of leadership positions, a lot of citizens agree with that. But to have a president come out and say that, I think it's awesome. We got this from our buddy over at News Treason, Dave. It's on the Liberty Den now and then. Listen to what Trump says about the fires in California.
Disaster like, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like it, frankly. They say the biggest in the history of California. I think, has anything bigger than that happened in the whole country ever? It looks like, I don't want to say what it looks like, but you know what I'm going to say. It looks like something hit it. And we won't talk about what hit it, but it is a bad, bad situation.
Trump knows something here. And him saying it looks like something hit it in terms, like something started these fires, something like maybe direct energy weapon. I don't know. He knows more than he's letting on. And you can say that because that because he even says, I'm not going to say what hit it, but it looks like something hit it. So he knows. And I wonder if we find out what it actually is. It's very, very interesting. Great catch, News Treason. But there's something to keep your eyes on. He's going down to California, flying down there. I think he didn't schedule anything with Governor Newsom while he's down there. But I believe I saw yesterday Gavin Newsom is going to go to the airport anyway and meet with him. So there might be some fireworks today with that meeting. That should be pretty interesting. And speaking of fireworks, Ash, I saw in the chat, Trump is going to Trump International tonight in Vegas, where the Tesla firework explosion happened. So just notable. We found out his schedule, so we'll update you guys with that stuff as we go too. And then another thing from the press conference this morning relating to Fauci. Check this out.
You work for government. We took some off other people too. But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something would have happened to, say, Dr. Fauci or John Bolton?
No. They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money. They all did. So if they, felt that strongly, I think that certainly I would not take responsibility. You work for government.
Yeah. So not only have we seen him take away the security detail of Pompeo, which was yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit more about Pompeo today again because the RFK file stuff came up, but he took it away from Bolton. I think there's a Brian Hook or something, and then Fauci. And he gets asked about it. I won't feel responsible about it. He made a ton of money. He can pay for his own darn security detail. So Fauci continues to be brought up into the news, and it's only going to be brought up more because, oh man, I'm gonna talk about this. But before I do, it just made me think we're probably going to get kicked off of YouTube for even mentioning this stuff. But we are live on YouTube right now, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, on YouTube, if you search the Daily Herold, we'll see how the censorship stuff happens now that Trump signed that free speech executive order. Let me see if it worked. That didn't work. youtube.com/@TDHerold. Yeah, it is up there. We're live. We got 2 people over there watching. Shout out to you two. Appreciate y'all. But yeah, make sure you guys go give a follow over there. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to talk a little bit about COVID now. So might be short-lived over on the YouTube. So CIA Director John Ratcliffe, he just got confirmed, and we're still waiting on a few other big confirmations. Hegseth, I think his vote's going to get through, but I saw another story that there's a allegation he paid $50,000 to somebody he supposedly sexually. They're throwing everything at the wall at Hegseth, but eventually that's going to get through. Ratcliffe is in there. Kash Patel, RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, I think their hearings are on the 30th. Make sure you guys are staying tuned to Badlands Media because we're covering all those as they're happening. But I thought this was very interesting. Director Ratcliffe to launch a probe into the COVID-19 origins. Newly confirmed CIA Director John Ratcliffe has announced plans to initiate a probe into what the U.S. intel community knew about the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm going to read a little bit more and then I'll comment here. Ratcliffe intends to direct investigators to review evidence held by the CIA and other agencies regarding the possibility that the virus leaked from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. The CIA has faced criticism for its handling of COVID. And yeah, all this. Okay. So the reason I find this so interesting is because, one, we already had an investigation into this. The DNI under I can't remember her name. What is her name? Who's the last DNI? Haynes. They already released a report back in June of 2023 on the potential links between the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the origin of COVID-19 pandemic. And this Twitter post I pointed out, like in the report, it's a 10-page report. They give us 800, 1,000 pages on J6 and all these other things over Trump, and they give us 10 pages on the origins of COVID. But they say this report does not address the merits of the 2 most likely pandemic origin hypotheses. And then we have this, okay? First, back when Ratcliffe was originally confirmed and having his confirmation hearings back in 2020 to be DNI, he was asked about this. Asked during his confirmation hearing before the Senate Intelligence Committee whether he had seen any intelligence to support an unproven theory that the COVID emerged from a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Ratcliffe said, "I have not," before qualifying his answer by saying he had not received a classified briefing in several weeks. Then he again later on says he had not seen any intelligence to suggest the disease began in a food market in Wuhan either. And then we have this from a couple years ago. This there's a documentary out there on YouTube. It was by Sky News Australia, What Really Happened in Wuhan, and Pompeo's in here. Trump even makes an appearance and comments on this, and Ratcliffe is in here as well.
I watched what was happening in the public domain, and I listened to folks like Dr. Anthony Fauci. And what he said was that the mutations of the virus were totally consistent with a jump from animals to humans.
John Ratcliffe was the United States Director of National Intelligence, the head of 18 different agencies.
What I found was that there wasn't any intelligence that supported that, nor was there any scientific data that we could find.
In a world exclusive.
There's multiple instances throughout this documentary he references this, but he clearly knows more than he's kind of letting on, if that makes sense. Like they wouldn't be opening up this probe unless there was something there. Unless there was a there. You know what I mean? Because these people from way back in 2020's administration, especially Ratcliffe, and it almost makes me wonder if this is why Trump brought him back and specifically put him with the CIA. Do they know that the CIA buried evidence showing that it originated from the laboratory in Wuhan? I mean, we all pretty much know that's what happened. And that's what this is. He's going to probe the U.S. intel community and show what they knew. And then this ties into that executive order that Trump issued the other day having to do with election interference. I think. That executive order, it did mention the 51 intel agents and John Bolton and this one specific instance and revoking their security clearance. But it also tasked the CIA and the DNI to go through and review what the intel community is doing having to do with election interference and whether further action should be taken. And COVID was used to interfere in the election. Trump said so multiple times. And everybody knows that the mail-in ballot stuff, how it connects to that. I mean, everything. This is the step one of getting to that. They're going to show what the intel community knew, how they buried it, and they're going to show why they buried it, which was to help with the mail-in ballot stuff, to steal all these things. This is a domino effect that we're going to see, because for a fact they know exactly what happened in Wuhan. And now we have Ratcliffe at the CIA, and he says he's going to be looking into this. This is pretty interesting, and it's probably even deeper than this too, right? Like, who created it? Where did it come from? Do they have evidence of why it was released? How long do they know? I mean, there's so much to this that we hardly know anything about. We speculate a lot. A lot of people on Twitter and in our community, we speculate about what we think has happened here, and maybe we're going to see some actual evidence of what we've been speculating for a long time. So something to keep your eye on. All right, let's go to. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. Let's see if there's any updates. First of all, nope. Okay, so these are the big. I guess I didn't highlight the federal recognition of the Lumini tribe. That happened yesterday too. But these are the four big ones that I thought came out yesterday from Trump, the executive orders and some of these things. We're going to go through these piece by piece because some of them are pretty interesting. Like I said, there's some misinformation floating around about these things. The big one that everybody was super pumped about is this one: declassification of records concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yesterday's show, I showed the Pompeo clip and showed the Ezra Cohen Watnick tweet, and I still stand by my thought process with that. I don't think we're actually going to see evidence of who shot or killed RFK, or at least that the government was behind it. I don't think we're going to see anything that actually implicates the government, but I am very curious to see what they've been keeping classified and why they've been keeping it classified, because whatever that is, it's taken place since then. They're more concerned about the things that have happened since the assassination than they are the actual assassination itself, if that makes sense. But we may get some new stuff with the RFK and Martin Luther King Jr. That is what I'm maybe looking forward to more. I don't know. But anyway, let me read through a couple of these things. Talking about the assassination, their families and the American people deserve transparency and truth. It is in the national interest to finally release all records related to these assassinations without delay. The release is made necessary by identifiable harm to the Actually, no, I'm going to back up and read this entire thing a little bit. The President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992 required all records related to the assassination of President Kennedy to be publicly disclosed in full by October 26, 2017, unless the president certifies that continued postponement is made necessary by an identifiable harm to the military defense, intelligence operations, law enforcement, or conduct of foreign relations, and the identifiable harm is such gravity that it outweighs the public interest in disclosure. And this is where I think there's going to be something very interesting here, because I don't think it has anything to do with law enforcement. You could maybe argue intel operations, but again, it's been 60, 50 years. I don't know if that's going to be the issue. Same with military defense. I think the big one is the conduct of foreign relations. Because what if it is known that our government colluded with another government, and there's been discussions about that to take out Kennedy? That's what I think the biggie is here. I think it has to do with some sort of foreign relation issue, and they don't want evidence coming out that our government colluded with, or even just knew that another foreign country, an ally or something maybe, took out a president. Oops. That's what I think this is. But we'll see. I'm very curious. And then it goes on, in the presidential memorandum of April 26, 2018, I also ordered agencies to re-review each of those redactions over the next 3 years and disclose information that no longer warrants continued withholding under the standards set forth in Section 5G2D of the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection. Because, yeah, Trump in 2017 and 2018 ordered reevaluation to see if more stuff should come out. And they did, but they withheld some things because of these reasons up here. It could cause harm to these things. And we can go look at that, the actual act here, the 5G2D. Each assassination record shall be publicly disclosed in full and available in the collection no later than the date that is 25 years after the date of enactment of the act, unless the president certifies that continued postponement is made necessary by an identifiable harm to military defense, intelligence operations, or conduct of foreign relations, and the identifiable harm is of such gravity that it outweighs the public interest in disclosure. So that's what I'm thinking is they just don't care about the harm, right? The identifiable harm. It's not gravitational enough. And that's what I think is interesting. That's notable. They don't really care about what this is going to do. And it obviously must have something to do with foreign relations. But I'm going to play this clip that it was from a Kash Patel, Glenn Beck interview. And again, this is going to be the third person, Pompeo, Ezra Cohen-Watnick, and now Kash Patel, who have basically said, it's not what you think it is with the JFK files. Okay.
I never believed that the CIA killed Kennedy.
No. You're talking to a guy that's read the entire JFK file.
You've seen all the secret stuff?
I've seen all of that, and I've seen the 7 pages of the 9/11 report. I've seen it all.
You don't say that to people that you can't tell what you saw. Should the Kennedy stuff be released?
Yes.
Is there anything there that is like, is anybody alive?
The problem is the things that we can't release have nothing to do with the questions you guys are asking. That's about as far as I can go on it. But like the answers you guys want, you pretty much have them. There's very minimal stuff that can't be seen for things that you wouldn't even think are related to that.
Why can't we release them?
And you're thinking temporally, like, did it stop back then? Right? You know, the way intelligence works is you're always developing it. Where did I get that? Where did that go? Oh, hey, I found that guy 5 years ago. Let's go talk to him. Where does that get us? You know, it's a little bit bigger of a jigsaw puzzle. I mean, it's the same. Look, so the 7 pages of the 9/11 report, yes, overnight that needs to come out. I'm telling you, that's got to go. And there will be some people that are pissed off.
So yeah, looking forward to the 9/11 stuff too. But again, he kind of echoed what Pompeo said, having to do with this. The way intelligence works is you're constantly updating it. You're constantly getting more information. And every time, you know, an asset goes and talks to somebody about what may have happened or what they knew or whatever, that updates in the file. And so there are probably people within the last 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years who may still be assets who may still be placed in foreign places that are going to be compromised by this. That's definitely possible. But everybody is saying we're not going to get what we want. And the answers we're looking for, which I think most people are looking for the answer that the CIA or the government killed John F. Kennedy, we pretty much already have those answers. And we're not going to see it from the files. So very interesting. Definitely very interesting. I'm curious to see what it is. And we shall have an answer. We should have an answer. Did I say shill? We shall have an answer within 15 days. I have now determined that the continued redaction and withholding of information from records pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy is not consistent with the public interest, and the release of these records is long overdue. Although no act of Congress directs the release of information pertaining to the assassinations of Robert F. Kennedy, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I've determined that the release of all records in the federal government's possession pertaining to each of those assassinations is also in the public interest. Within 15 days of this order, the DNI and the Attorney General, in coordination with the Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs, will present a plan to the President for the full and complete release of records relating to the assassination of President JFK. So sometime in the next 15 days, a plan will be presented to Trump about the release. So we could have these files released within 15 days. Maybe it'll be longer than that. I don't know. But it is coming. We're just going to have to wait a little bit. The other two files on Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, they have 45 days to do the same thing. So within 45 days, they're going to review all the things and then present a plan to the president on the release of those. I'm pretty sure me and Zach did a Basis Conspiracies episode on Martin Luther King Jr., and that one was pretty darn compelling about our own government participating in that one. So I think it's notable that he's releasing these other two with the JFK, because I don't think the JFK is going to say it. But I think what we gather from the other two files, the other two releases, will heavily imply that, yeah, okay, so here's JFK, no answers. Here's RFK and MLK. Why do they all end in K? And these two were killed by the government. So take a hint, everybody. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We shall see. Okay. So a lot of AI stuff yesterday, technology stuff from those executive orders. Zuckerberg doubled down on AI, $65 billion infrastructure investment into his Meta AI stuff. What we're basically witnessing now with Trump in office is an AI technological arms race. That's what this is. And this is why I know everybody's still freaking out about the mRNA stuff and what took place at the White House the other day with the Larry Ellison Oracle announcement. But as I said, I would much rather have that investment be done here in the United States and we reap the financial and economic rewards of that, and then be able to have some sort of control over it, than them take that money and go elsewhere and have it done anyway. Like this is going to happen. It unfortunately is the future. These tech bros are going to be doing tech bro stuff. It's unavoidable. But while he's allowing this infrastructure investment to take place and the AI stuff to take place, he's also putting in some guardrails, and that's what we saw yesterday. First, he created this Council of Advisors on Science and Technology, and this committee or this council has to do with the other two executive orders. Today, a new frontier of scientific discovery lies before us, defined by transformative technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum computing, notable, and advanced biotechnology. Breakthroughs in these fields have the potential to reshape the global balance of power, spark entirely new industries, and revolutionize the way we work and live and work. As our global competitors race to exploit these technologies, it is a national security imperative for the United States to achieve and maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance. To secure our future, we must harness the full power of American innovation by empowering entrepreneurs, unleashing private sector creativity, and reinvigorating our research institutions. And then he, set up this committee. I don't think he's specifically named who's going to be part of this council, but I did find this part interesting. In order to allow the President's Council Advisory, whatever this is, scientific technology, to provide advice and analysis regarding classified matters, the co-chairs may request that members of the PCAST, its standing subcommittees or ad hoc groups who do not hold a current clearance for access to classified info, they can get security clearance for this stuff. So we always talk about the military and maybe the Department of Energy, who's also in here, which, by the way, Trump, when he was out of office, it came out in classified filings that he did keep his Q clearance from the Department of Energy. But anyway, I think it's interesting that they're going to access some classified info, and maybe we'll get some revelations on classified technology that we haven't seen over the years. You know what I mean? I'm curious, but let's get into number one, the AI thing. And again, I do enjoy how after everybody was freaking out about the Larry Ellison AI mRNA stuff, a day or two later, we get an executive order on AI and kind of outlining like, hey, I understand the freak out, but we're going to do this in a way that's in line with American values. Okay. Section 1 purpose: to maintain this leadership. The United States has long been at the forefront of artificial intelligence, AI innovation, driven by the strength of our free markets, world-class research institutions, and entrepreneurial spirit. To maintain this leadership, we must develop AI systems that are free from ideological bias or engineered social agendas. With the right government policies, we can solidify our position as a global leader in AI and secure a brighter future for all Americans. And that's the way I interpret AI and the way I see the future of AI. It's a tool that we can use to secure a brighter future for all Americans. Not everything about AI is great. I understand that. I know there are downsides, as there are downsides to literally everything. But AI is a pretty impressive tool, even though I don't use it. I hardly ever use ChatGPT or anything, because I find myself, anytime I ask ChatGPT a question, I find myself having to go and like verify the answer I got from ChatGPT, and it doubles the work. So I just go and look it up myself. You know what I mean? But a lot of other people find success with it, and that's great. Anyway, Section 2 policy. It is the policy of the United States to sustain and enhance America's global AI dominance in order to promote human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. And then there's a definition of what AI is set forth in the code, and I guess I don't have to read it, but I might as well. Machine-based system that can, for a given set of human-defined objectives, make predictions, recommendations, or decisions influencing real or virtual environments. Use machine and human inputs, blah, 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 blah. We're running low on time here, so I'm going to keep cruising through. Pretty much all these executive orders, too, he's creating these, he's putting these orders in place, and these orders are actually, they're not like putting anything in stone. They're pretty much all asking for some group or committee to develop a plan and submit it, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. You know what I mean? That's all these executive orders are just calling for a plan of something to be presented to Trump, and then Trump's going to decide to approve it or not. So him even saying this stuff and putting this stuff out there, he's not even cementing any of it being done. They could come up with a plan for AI infrastructure or whatever, and it get to his desk and he like, nah, I don't want to do this. Start over. We don't know how long it'll take for them to actually move the ball with any of the AI stuff, but it's what it says in both this one and the cryptocurrency executive order. Shall develop and submit to the president an action plan to achieve the policy set forth in Section 2 of this order, which is America's global AI dominance and human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and everything. But this is this is the one I found notable. So in Trump's initial executive order that rescinded all of Joe Biden's executive orders, they rescinded one of the AI executive orders that Biden put forth, and it was the I think it was this one, 14110. So they revoked it, okay? But now they're asking this group to go through it and see if anything should stay, or if anything should be further removed. And I thought it was just weird because they already revoked this executive order, but then they're saying they need to identify any actions taken pursuant to EO 14110 that are or may be inconsistent with or present obstacles to the policy set forth in Section 2 of this order. For any such agency actions identified, the heads of agencies shall, as appropriate and consistent with applicable law, suspend, revise, or rescind such actions, or propose suspending, revising, or rescinding such actions. And that makes me wonder if, based on Executive Order 14110 of October 30th, 2023, it's revoked now, but did that lead to the creation of something related to AI that now needs to be removed? Like, what were the actual ramifications of that initial executive order from Biden? I'm gonna have to dig into that more. But I found this interesting because they already revoked it, but now they want to like double check their work and make sure that it didn't do any lasting damage. It's just weird. But again, another executive order. Exciting stuff. I love these executive orders. And then to show you what is in this is the one executive order that remains from Joe Biden's era having to do with AI. And I did find this interesting that this one hasn't been addressed yet. And I wonder if he's going to leave it or if he's going to address it in the future. But it talks about like these 5 main goals, the 5 guiding principles that the United States is going to have with AI. The development of AI infrastructure should advance United States national security and leadership in AI. Good with that. The development of AI infrastructure should advance United States economic competitiveness. Good with that. Excuse me. United States can and should lead the world in operating next gen of AI data centers with clean power. This is the one I'm confused about because the clean power aspect of this talks about wind energy and all these other things, even defines down here, and talks about emissions. The term, they achieve carbon dioxide capture rates of 90% or higher on an annual basis, blah, blah, blah. That's like a woke agenda. So I'm curious why they haven't addressed this executive order yet, but I wonder if they will. I know Trump has continued to talk about the nuclear energy and everything. He even declared an energy national emergency. So this all ties together. All the AI infrastructure, the economic stuff, the energy, it's all connected. And it's all connected to this next one, which is the Bitcoin executive order. Or I shouldn't say Bitcoin, I should say crypto, because if you were paying attention at all on Twitter yesterday, the Bitcoin maxis were kind of melting down. And then I saw a lot of XRP maxis melting down. And I don't know, I saw a lot of similarities. And as a guy who, I own gold and silver, I also own Bitcoin, and I do own a little XRP. I kind of look at the XRP bros and the Bitcoin maxis as like 2 sides of the same coin. And I know some people won't like to hear that, but Trump recognizes the importance and significance of digital financial technology, strengthening American leadership in digital financial technology. I think this is a signal that our current financial system is broken. I think it's acknowledgement of that. And he's seriously looking into ways to use cryptocurrency to get us out of that system. And so we're going to spend a little time on this, probably the remaining time of this episode, reading through and talking about some of this. The digital asset industry plays a crucial role in innovation and economic development in the United States, as well as our nation's international leadership. It is therefore the policy of my administration to support the responsible growth and use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and related technologies across all sectors of the economy. And I like that he says this, because the blockchain technology, I really think this can be used in so many other ways. And I wish he wouldn't have said just the economy, because we can use this. Ash, if you're listening, earmuffs, we could probably find a way to use this in our elections. She's going to be real mad about that. But protecting and promoting the ability of individual citizens and private sector entities alike to access and use for lawful purposes open public blockchain networks without persecution, including the ability to develop and deploy software to participate in mining and validating, to transact with other persons without unlawful censorship, and to maintain self-custody of digital assets. Again, this is stuff we've been talking about on Badlands Media for a while. Like there is so much value into blockchain technology, and I'm really glad that Trump is addressing this and putting this forward. Promoting and protecting the sovereignty of the United States dollar, including through actions to promote the development and growth of lawful and legitimate dollar-backed stable coins worldwide. This part really stuck out to me, because even over the last 4 years, and when Trump was in office between 2016 and 2020, he always talked about the US dollar. Like he wasn't really like pro cryptocurrency or anything back in his first term. You saw the evolution of his acceptance of it while he was away, while Biden was in office, but he never went away from the dollar. He's always said he wants a strong dollar. And this is what he says here. He wants to use crypto to promote and protect the sovereignty of the United States dollar. And that's interesting. Like maybe the dollar is not going anywhere, but he is talking about dollar-backed stable coins and all these things worldwide. That's like it makes me think of a gold-backed dollar, except it's crypto, dollar-backed stable coins. It's just an interesting comparison, and I don't know. I want to see what they do with this, where the dollar ends up, because I don't think it's sustainable in the current debt-based system we have. But anyway, talking about banking stuff and making it all available for everybody. But here's the big one. It was about 2 years ago, I think, that the CBDC executive order came out, Executive Order 14067. A lot of people freaked out about that, the central bank digital currency. I saw a lot of blackpilling and dooming and everything, as it should have. I mean, it was definitely a bad direction for us to be going in, but I think we kind of all figured that once Trump got in there, he would remove it, and that's what he did here, taking measures to protect Americans from the risks of central bank digital currencies, which threaten the stability of the financial system, individual privacy, and the sovereignty of the United States, including by prohibiting the establishment, issuance, circulation, and use of a CBDC within the jurisdiction of the United States. So you just kind of slapped him on the hand and not doing that. For the purposes of this order, the term digital asset refers to any digital representation of value that is recorded on a distributed ledger, including cryptocurrencies, digital tokens, and stablecoins. It's a pretty broad basket, if you ask me. But again, this is just the start. They're going to get more specific, and I'll show you what I mean here in a little bit. And so it makes sense that you would start broad when you're implementing guidelines and coming up with a policy framework for this stuff, and then narrow it down to what the best technology is and what the future is. But as it stands right now, like most cryptocurrencies fit this definition. Most things in the crypto world fit this definition. So I'm curious to see how they narrow it down. But they revoked the CBDC executive order. And this is the biggie. So this executive order is establishing a working group on digital asset markets. It's hereby established within the National Economic Council, the President's Working Group, blah, blah, blah. And there's going to be a chairperson, the special advisor for AI and crypto. And I think that's David Sachs, isn't it? I should have looked that up. Hold on, give me a second while I confirm who that is, because I don't know if I like that. I don't know much about David Sachs, if I'm being completely and totally honest. Yeah, it's David Sachs. Gonna have to do some digging on him. But anyway, they have a lot of people on this working group, and I do like how there's some national security people on here. NSA, Homeland Security, Attorney General, Homeland Security Advisor. What I kind of wish would be on here is the Secretary of Defense or some military aspect of this, but they're not. And I wonder why. Like, why would you not include the Secretary of Defense on this? But anyway, let's keep going through here. Within 30 days of this order, the Department of Treasury, Department of Justice, Securities Exchange, SEC, other relevant agencies that are in the working group shall identify all regulations, guidance documents, orders, or other items that affect the digital asset sector. And then within 60 days of the date of this order, each agency shall submit to the chair recommendations with respect to whether each identified regulation, guidance, document, order, or whatever should be rescinded or modified, or for items other than regulations adopted in a regulation. So again, these executive orders, they're all basically, here you guys, you go study this, write a report, give it to me, and then we'll see where we go from here. Nothing is actually set in stone here. Within 180 days, the working group will submit a report which shall recommend regulatory and legislative proposals that advance the policies established in this order. In particular, the report shall focus on the following. So we have 180 days before we even get potentially up to 180 days before we even get a report on what the recommendations will be. We have some time to figure it out. But the working group shall propose a federal regulatory framework governing the issuance and operation of digital assets, including stablecoins, in the United States. That's pretty interesting, the issuance part. And I wonder I mean, it can't mean the United States itself, like the government is going to issue, but maybe they're just talking about the creation and operation in general. The working group's report shall consider provisions for market structure, oversight, consumer protection, risk management. And then this is the biggie that I saw a lot of people talking about. The working group shall evaluate the potential creation and maintenance of a national digital asset stockpile. That's a biggie. And propose criteria for establishing such a stockpile, potentially derived from cryptocurrencies lawfully seized by the federal government through its law enforcement efforts. It doesn't really say anything about us purchasing using the MicroStrategy Sailor, method and purchasing. It talks about just creating the stockpile based on once we've seized from illicit activities. I don't know. That's interesting. I know Bitcoin's been seized. I think I saw the Department of Justice just sold and dumped like a ton of Bitcoin not long ago. But I know we still have some on our ledger, and it's not just Bitcoin, it's others. I don't think there's XRP on there. Just saying. And then finally, except to the extent required by law, any ongoing plans or initiatives at any agency related to the creation of a CBDC within the jurisdiction of the United States shall be immediately terminated. That's great. But yeah, guys, we're not going to see any actual movement on a lot of this stuff yet for a while. We have 15 days for the RFK files. We have 45 days for the rest of the files. Did I say RFK? I meant JFK. And then we have it probably up to 180 days before we even see a report on what the recommendations are. And then beyond that, it could be a while until we see, some sort of movement in the crypto world. But this is a great start. It's a great start. I'm very curious to see where this goes. And crypto is responding very well. A lot of the cryptos are up lately. So I see a couple of Meta Ronan in the chat. US stablecoins equal US treasuries. Very possible. Very possible. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover before we get you guys out of here. See any updates? I don't see any updates, but I did think it was interesting. I'll point this out. Yesterday, Trump had a call with President Bukele from El Salvador, who, Bitcoin guys, they pretty much fully adopted Bitcoin. And after the phone call, they actually bought like 17 more Bitcoin, which is funny. But they talked about working together to stop illegal immigration, crack down on transnational gangs like Tren de Aragua. President Trump also praised President Bukele's leadership in the region and the example he sets for other nations in the Western Hemisphere. And the example he is setting is get rid of all gang activity using the military and completely purchasing nothing but Bitcoin, pretty much. So that's interesting. And President Bukele, he shared this on social media as well. But okay, guys, we are at an hour. That went by quick. Hope you guys enjoyed the show this week. I had fun. We'll be back on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Again, don't forget to go follow us on YouTube. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Share this around to your friends and family. I'm doing my best to keep it, packed with information, no swear words. This should be the show that you guys should easily share around and not be ashamed to share around. So email address daily@badlandsmedia.org if you have suggestions or thoughts on this show. This next week or two, we're going to start bringing on like topical guests now and then to give some insight on things that I don't know that much about, which I know that's surprising. I know you guys think I know everything about everything, but I don't. So we will be bringing on some guests and some people from Badlands just for brief, 5-minute segments, whatnot. But yeah, you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week, and I'll be right back with the Rumble rants and boosts right after this outro.
Explain the Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
All right, we'll do the boosts and rants, and I just want to address something in the comments. I saw somebody asked about why Chrome's on Monday. Yes, they will both be airing at the same time, and I did speak to those boys about it, and I was like, look, guys, this is like the only time in my schedule that I can make work on the weeks I have my kids, and I don't want to be like all over the place, like every other week is a different time. It'd just be confusing. This is the only time slot that I can make work for my schedule with my kids, and they understood. We're going to do it at the same time for now. If they want to change in the future, or if things change, whatever, we'll address that. But yeah, there will be 2 simultaneous streams on Badlands on Mondays, but every other day I'll be the only one in this time slot. We have a boost over on the Badlands website from Bubblehead. $10. Before this week, ElijahStreams.com had always credited Derek Johnson for the continuity of government stuff. This week, Johnny Enlow finally gave credit to you, Elijah Patel Patriot. I guess they read enough of my angry comments. Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. He's had me on a show before Derek Johnson was even on the scene, so it's kind of funny that he would ever credit Derek Johnson in the first place, but whatever. A couple rants here. 12 Indie Boy, nice to see you, Ty. Got JC to change her work meetings today also. Can't believe she doesn't watch this show daily. LOL. I'm working on her. We'll see you in Vegas. Looking forward to seeing you guys in Vegas too. And I will say JC has always been my favorite, but now that I know she wasn't watching this show daily, I may have to reconsider. JC, I'm a little offended. But thank you, Ty. Maggie D8 is now a monthly supporter. Thank you. Always appreciate your guys' support when you become monthly supporters. ADH Squirrel, stop sabotaging daily. A little kidding. Thank you so much for this. I refuse to watch my local news after finding you guys. Just waiting for Pennsylvania Gart, maybe Gettysburg. That sounds fun. Yeah, by the way, this morning on Daily, I had nothing to do with that. For whatever reason, it was a Rumble issue, because as soon as CanCon made me aware that the audio was coming through but not the video, I texted the Rumble people, and they looked into it. We just had to reset the connection, and it was good to go. But they said it was a Rumble issue, and it shouldn't happen moving forward. So that was not my fault. YS64, okay, I'm pulling a John. Stop rating me, bro. I listen to Badlands while working. Often I have to hit pause and attend to business. Then I go back to where I left off. When you raid the show, no thumb. Ugh. Can't help it, man. We want to share support from one show to the next. It's a raid thing. Maybe eventually, you know what? That's a great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Rumble if they can make the raid where you don't go unless you click join. Because I think sometimes it just automatically takes you if you don't press anything. We got to get that fixed. So it's a good point, but I do appreciate the thumbs up, and I appreciate the $10. Monty 710, $50. Thank you. Thank you, John, for starting Badlands in this new edition. Thank you, Monty. Glad you like it. Greg Palmer, will we ever hear from the media 2020 is stolen, and do you think we will have President Trump for those 4 years that were stolen from us? I don't know. I saw one of the senators or congressmen put forth a bill to give Trump a 3rd term, which is interesting. I don't think it'll pass, but it's because we were robbed of those 4 years of Trump. We'll see. Looking forward to the debate over that in the House. And Ash, nice to see you, Ash. Whoever you choose on Mondays, you can watch Alphas make sandwiches afterwards. That is very true. Very true. All right, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. I will see you tonight, though, on the Liberty Den, which is always a good time. So make sure you tune in there. But otherwise, you guys have a great rest of your day and have a great weekend. And we'll see you next week.